bloody well told him not to stick his arse where he don't belong.
Are there better times of coming? For ascension?
Live honest and always speak the truth.
Bet you're sweaty in all that armour.
What do you care?
Wouldn't you rather sweat on me?
Hello and welcome back to GameSpot's coverage of The Witcher 3. In the last video we introduced the world of The Witcher, its cities, villages and landscapes, but today we're going to unveil the gameplay of Wild Hunt. Its fascinating use of branching storylines that impact on the main quest, its new open world structure, its new systems for leveling and potions, and a Pokemon-style collectible card game tournament. Yeah, really. Alright, we've got a lot to talk about, so let's get stuck in.
The Witcher games are a linear role-playing series where making decisions at key moments makes the story branch from time to time. Even in simple conversations, making decisions is key to The Witcher, choosing the lesser of two evils. This is the core of the Witcher experience, and it's retained in Wild Hunt. But Wild Hunt is also an open-world game with dozens upon dozens of side quests, many of which you'll be making tough decisions in too. And in today's video, while tiptoeing around story specifics, lead quest designer Mateusz Tomaskowicz is going to help us dive into what exactly you'll be doing during your time in Geralt's shoes.
We are very focused on the storyline, so on the story of Geralt, of Ciri and Yennefer. But as we develop the game, we have designed these side quest lines that were connected very strongly with the main storyline, but we're branching off from it, so to speak. So as you will progress through the main storyline, you will find that you can continue or ignore like these big storylines of local places, of hubs, of important characters that you meet.
What's the famous Jenga fret need a Witcher for?
So the main game has around 8 to 10 main story quests, but each of these involves around 2 or 3 branching secondary quests. So for instance, earlier in our game, while trying to discover a piece of valuable information, I was pointed in the direction of 2 people who might have it, a local baron and a witch in a distant town. Both of these were large quests in their own right that took at least over an hour each. But as they reached their conclusions and I received the information I needed to complete the first part of my main quest, these quests didn't necessarily end. I was free to leave and continue the main quest if I so wished, or I could continue down this branching secondary quest line.
But it's the way in which these secondary quests impact the main storyline that's really fascinating.
Ignoring those can cause some consequences in the world, as well as, participating in those.
It wasn't as if I was forced to complete the secondary quests then and there, but clearly these quests will impact on the main storyline in some form or another. It almost felt like the optional missions in Mass Effect 2, which eventually had dire consequences on the main storyline. It just wasn't explicitly explained how. This is how The Witcher 3 embraces its open world. The core story branches out, dragging you into new areas, back across familiar land, so you never quite know where you're going next.
As you roam from place to place, you gather quests, from notice boards in towns, from random encounters, and from exploring the wilderness.
If you decide to take on a Witcher contract in some village, the villagers later on might react differently on Geralt depending on what he did in this contract. There are also some side quests that are basically stories in themselves, so I think they are interesting for the players. They will be interesting for the players.
You can never quite bank on side quests in many open world games. All too often they're generic or repetitive or too short. So during our time, myself and producer Andy Bauman ran all over the map to see what we could discover. We don't want to get into spoilery specifics over what we saw and did, but Mateus was all too happy to give us a decent overview.
We also have side quests that they are not simple contracts that you take from the notice board or from the quest giver. We have also some encounters and quests that happen basically as you pass them. You will have this feeling that things happen around Geralt while he travels through this world, that it's living, breathing world.
Some of these side quests are short, some are part of longer quest chains, but the ones we played had multiple gameplay elements. Conversations, tracking, hunting, and so on. But perhaps the most interesting about these side quests is that they're leveled. While many open world games like to hide mission progression behind ability barriers, and while there's a tendency in fantasy games to enable the NPCs to level up alongside the player character, The Witcher 3 has a straight up MMO-style quest leveling system. So as we ran around the world at level 4, probably around 5 hours in, we ran into quests as high as level 33. We heard they reached up to 50, and while it looks like Geralt himself can reach level 60. And with the expansion packs on the horizon, we heard that these levels will likely increase. And also this means that once the main story is complete, you'll probably still have a bunch of quests to do.
We were tempted to balance it in a way that you simply go through from the level to level and they are all, well, evened out for your level, but we thought that something is getting lost in between, you know? I mean, I know it might feel irritating, maybe, or it might feel weird when you level, I don't know, 6 or 5, and you encounter level 32 quest. But I think this is something that players will come back to later on in the game, if, of course, they will play that long. And I think this is something to do in the so-called end game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not an MMO, obviously, but as I said previously, you can play after credits. We don't want you to have this feeling that you have to complete all side content before you engage in main storyline. For me, it works like this in some games, with playing, especially open world games.
Yeah.
I hold up playing main storyline. I do all the side quests if I can.
It's like,
and then I come back and I'm like, okay, what was it about?
Yeah.
You know? And we wanted to avoid that very strongly because the main storyline is very important for us.
But all this monster hunting can be bloody exhausting. Why not take a load off? Sit down with a buddy and play some cards. Gwent may look like some boring-ass card minigame, but trust us for a minute, CD Projekt are doing some weird stuff here.
Well, basically, Gwent was present in the books, in the Witcher books, and this is something that we always wanted to have in the game. Basically, you can gather these cards in the world, you can buy them, you can win them from the players. Of course, you have quest lines about it. You have this huge tournament with Gwent.
No.
Yeah, and
It's like
even
Pokemon or Magic the Gathering.
Like Pokemon. I mean, we do have this one quest that makes, you know, jokes about it a little bit in Novigrad.
Really?
But I don't want to spoil too much about it.
Is there ever a situation where you can say, okay, look, if I beat you in Gwent, you'll have to do what I want?
Without spoiling anything, I could say yeah.
Okay. All right, that sounds pretty cool.
Of course, it's not all about Geralt of Rivia. From time to time, you'd also get to play as Geralt's protege Ciri, who's on the run. These are linear episodes which pop in from time to time during the main quest. As far as we know, you don't actually get to play her in the open world, but then we've barely scraped the surface.
Ciri is mostly involved in the main storyline. The sections that we play Ciri are basically closed off. You can't explore the open world as Ciri. You didn't see everything yet from her abilities. Basically, she develops as you play the game, so she gets stronger later on in the game.
It's fair to say that The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt has a lot going on, and it should. A few weeks ago, there were news reports detailing that the game had over 200 hours of gameplay, and from our time with the game, I could certainly see that this could be the case. But what's crucial, and where many open world games fall short, is that the gameplay needs to keep being engaging. There are a lot of gameplay elements in Wild Hunt, but it's how they're combined that gives a game like this longevity. We asked Mateus how important he felt this was.
We try to include all different gameplay elements in our quests to keep players interested in the game. And as we got these new tools of transportation, we tried to incorporate them in the quests as well. You will have horse races. We don't have boat races, but there are some quests that involve sailing on a boat. There are quests that will make you dive underwater and find stuff. like hidden coves, hidden caves. We were trying to do everything we can for the players to feel basically this awesome feeling of exploration of this rich world. We didn't want the players to feel that, okay, there are the quests, right, and you can go on the quest path, but don't go on the sides because there is nothing there. No, we wanted to make everything we can that it feels like living, breathing world, and rich with things to find, interesting to explore, basically.
GameSpot doesn't just pony up the cash and resources to fly across the world to check out any game, but from myself and Andy's time playing it in Warsaw, from our time talking to the developers, it's clear to see that The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt has all the makings, all the ingredients of a really special game. Whether it is or not, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. The game comes out on PC and current-gen consoles May 19th. Cool.